Exhale, Michigan. The Red Wings have done it. On this day, the last day of 2025, December 31st, on the eve of a brand new year, we have ourselves a victory that propels Detroit back to number one in the Atlantic Division. Now, sure, they're not number one by points percentage. That honor belongs to the Tampa Bay Lightning, who had also found a victory earlier in today's group of games. But the Detroit Red Wings got themselves a victory here, and that's all that matters. The best part is, it was available on Sportsnet Pacific here in Vancouver, so I was able to watch this game. Let's go! Now, I wasn't attentively paying attention to every minute detail, but I did have the game on in the background, so I was able to digest this Wings victory. 2-1 is the final score, as we had said, but this is one of these games where I think the Detroit Red Wings hung on in a way that we haven't really been used to seeing them hang on. At least over the past few years. The Detroit Red Wings got things started in this game with 2 goals in the first period. Dylan Larkin from Mo Seider and Lucas Raymond on the man advantage. The puck goes back over to Raymond on the right half wall. He goes over to Seider. Left side feed to Larkin, who walks in, shoots, and scores on Hellebuyck. It's a pretty far shot. It's a pretty nice goal. It's 1-0 Detroit, but it doesn't stay that way for long. As 6 minutes later, you have yourselves a kind of 2-on-1 rush. It was a nice one by Compher and Appleton, but the Winnipeg Jets defender was caught in the middle there. Centering feed from Compher, it's Luke Schenn who gets a piece of the puck on his stick, but it still finds its way over to Appleton on the right side. He shoves it towards the goal, and it beats Connor Hellebuyck somehow. Pretty good goal, all things considered. Nice for JT Compher to be able to take advantage of Dylan DeMello's failed dump-in attempt, which resulted in the rush and resulted in the goal. But that was it. The Red Wings didn't get any more offensive goal support throughout the remaining 46 minutes of game time, what have you. And the only goal that was scored from the rest of the game here on out was Logan Stanley, assisted by Jonathan Toews in the third period. That was probably one that John Gibson would want to have back, as the Red Wings failed to clear their own zone. Winnipeg regains possession. Jonathan Toews goes over to Stanley, and then, from a tight angle, he's able to bury it right through Gibson. I think it went 5-hole, just based off of the body language there, but Logan Stanley's goal stands as the only Winnipeg Jets marker. What I also found interesting was the fact that people were going out there and saying that, hey, this is the very first time that we are seeing Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews face off against each other in NHL action. Because, yeah, of course, they've played off against each other at Olympic events and international tournaments, and, you know, they were teammates together for so long in Chicago, but now it's 2025, almost 2026, and we are finally seeing some Kane versus Toews magic. Patty Kane gets 0 points. Jonathan Toews had 1 assist, but the Wings end up with the victory. That is not to discredit as well John Gibson needing to stand on his head in the final few minutes of the third period. Just the onslaught of offensive chances by Winnipeg from about the 14-minute remaining mark of the third period onwards. According to MoneyPuck.com, the Red Wings didn't have a single chance on goal in those last 14 minutes. It was all Winnipeg, and the deserve to win-o-meter says that the Jets should have won this game 70% of the time. Winnipeg was just hanging on in this third period, and honestly, they were kind of lucky that they were able to escape with the 2 points, much less even get the game to overtime. This was a gutsy win, one where the Wings were able to test their attrition. They bent, but they didn't break, and the Winnipeg Jets, a team that admittedly has been suffering in the standings so much when they probably shouldn't be, they stay last place in the National Hockey League. Like, based off of the way the Jets played today against the number 1 team in the Atlantic, do you think they played like the last place team in the NHL? Probably not, right? Just based off of the quantity, just based off of the chances, just based off of the possession, based off of the talent, yes, there were a few flubs in there, one of which directly resulted in Detroit's go-ahead goal, but that was not a last-place caliber hockey team on display. They were playing well, they just didn't get the chances, and with this loss against Detroit, Winnipeg stays 1-6-3 in their last 10. They've got 2 regulation losses in a row. They're still underneath Vancouver. And the Red Wings walk away with 2 points, cementing themselves as the top 5 team in the National Hockey League this time around. It's quite a turn of events, isn't it? Speaking about that John Gibson, this really does put a bow on the December that he had, because man oh man, was this guy a monster turned up on his head that just decided to be good by the time December rolled around. Talk about a bounce back after an opening start to the year that was very, very subpar. The win streak in December, all the shutouts, NHL Star of the Week, and his save percentage is still in the 800s, I believe, after this game, even though he only allowed 1. That just goes to show you how bad things really were for John Gibson to open up this season, but man, that is a guy that you can rely on, at least when he is on his game. When you can't rely on him, then you can't rely on him, really. The Red Wings, at this point of the year, they've got 51 points. They are tied up. It's a halfway mark of the year for them, and they are on pace for 102 over the course of a full 82-game season. So, talk about exploding in the positive direction that they have. Talk about from last year's disappointment under Derek Lalonde to this year, Todd McClellan, 1 full year's worth of guidance, coaching, and strategy for this team, really allowing itself to put on a show and still get the results when they probably didn't deserve them. Like, I'm not going to say that the Red Wings deserved to win this one. They were definitely not the better team, especially in the second half. But, hey, they bent but not break. Nice. Before we ended off this video, I wanted to turn some attention to the commentary we uploaded earlier in today's show. It was about former Detroit Red Wing Jonathan Berggren, and how he ended up getting scratched the other day for the St. Louis Blues. A move that you can say is quite indicative of the issues that have always been plaguing Jonathan Berggren's game. Say what you want about whether or not he is skilled, but there have been some issues that seem to have not gone away from Berggren's departure from Detroit and arrival in St. Louis. So that commentary is available on the channel if you want to go out there and watch it. Just get the scoop as to what's going on, see what Monty had to say about scratching his player. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section. How do you feel about this Detroit Red Wings victory? They are back up to number 1 in the Atlantic Division. Big win over the Winnipeg Jets, a last-placed Winnipeg Jets team that doesn't play like a last-place team. Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.